Things stabilize human life insofar as they provide a continuity that lies in the fact that men, their ever-changing nature notwithstanding, can retrieve their sameness, that is, their identity, by being related to the same chair and the same table. Things are the calm centers of life. They have now been wholly enveloped by information. Information is anything but a calm center of life. It is not possible to linger on information. It is relevant only fleetingly. It lives off its capacity to surprise. Information's fleetingness alone can account for the fact that information destabilizes life. It constantly attracts our attention. The tsunami of information agitates our cognitive system. Information is not a stable, uniform entity. It lacks the solidity of being. That was the first part of the book Non-Things by Byung-Chul Han. I hope I'm kind of maybe saying that right. I was recommended that by Josh Scott of JHS Pedals. He recommends great books to read on his channel. But I thought that was the perfect introduction for this Rhodes that I'm having configured for me by Mark Ross. I just had a conversation with him following up. Now he's gonna go through it and make it like really nice and playable. These things are getting more and more rare. It's important to me to understand them deeply, really have a intimate knowledge of exactly how it works, what goes wrong with it, how it breaks. I grew up as a kid, and I hear this story from a lot of people, actually. We had a baby grand piano that was nothing super special, and I took classical lessons, but like I really didn't practice or care about those classical lessons. I would just spend time with the piano just pressing the keys and repetitively kind of getting out emotions by pressing the keys, and just I don't know, it's just like a whole emotional experience, just like a tangible, intimate connection with a thing. I'm aware when I start talking about my love of things that it's very tempting to call me materialistic. But my argument to that is I don't think being passionate about things, old things with a story especially, to the point of being motivated to understand how they work and seek out experts to explain exactly how it works and what needs to be repaired, how to maintain these things. I don't think that's really materialistic. I think that's more, I'm looking for a grounding experience in these things. These things have a story to me, and they connect me to people I never would have connected with before. We had an old pontoon boat that was notoriously, every single time we took the pontoon boat out, it would break down. But we learned a lot. We learned so much as a family growing up. Not only just from breaking down and trying to fix it, but mostly it brought people together, because they would come, we would be waving out on the lake stranded, and a nice person would come rescue us, and we would get to know them, and it was great. So I have like cars and guitars that are of value. that I love, but to me it's more about the stories behind them and the people that they connect me with through trying to maintain them. And this Rhodes has a very interesting, I could tell right away, it really just exuded a lot of like, somebody loved this thing, somebody loved it, and fixed it up and played it. I could tell. And you'll see when Mark Ross opened up the cabinet, he found a surprise inside that sort of tells its story.
I didn't know what was under the hood here.
Right.
Now that said, what's in there is a very well loved. Like, people love these things. People have them in their guitar rigs and bass rigs and stuff. It's a much more powerful amplifier.
Okay. What did you say it is so I can write it down?
It's a PV 260S.
260S, okay.
Yeah, actually I can send you a spec sheet on it.
I can do some research on the PV260S, but I do want to just kind of say that, like, since I play pedal steel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, like, the PV in the world of pedal steel, PV has the opposite like brand stigma that it does in the rest of the world, where like we really seek out these like 80s solid state PV amps with the giant heavy transformers. Like, they sound so okay. they sound so good. They're really, really nice. So I just want to keep in mind that that's what I'm thinking when you're describing this.
When your pedal steel, I never even put this together, but whenever you're feeling frisky, if you want, your Rhodes amp is, in whatever configuration, is a great other amp for your pedal steel.
Cool.
You can run it through that stereo tremolo.
No way.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, you can plug a guitar into it too, of course. But,
yeah.
Yeah, you got that effects loop right on the main rail there.
Yeah.
You can plug whatever you want in there.
Oh my gosh. This is like, wow.
Oh, and you will freak out playing your pedal steel through this, because it has that oscillating tremolo, and
yeah,
it's a good match actually. And with that, you'll be going through the Peterson preamp, and so you have that EQ.
It does have the Peterson preamp.
Yeah, so you're running through the same pre that the Rhodes would run through. You're basically hijacking it.
Okay.
Or sharing it. You can do either one. You can share it or hijack it. I'll make sure that your effects loop is wired correctly, so you can do either one.
So just a basic, like, the Peterson preamp kind of sounds to me like more of where the quality of the sound is coming from, and then the power amp you're saying is PV260s?
Precisely, yeah. It is original up to the power amp section.
Yeah.
So they removed they're inside of the thing. You got the big power supply box, and that's what you see, like the power switches on, and that's where you plug the power into.
Right.
Normally, inside, there are these two like 6-pin Molex connectors. Each one plugs into a little power amp so there's these two separate freestanding power amps sitting mounted into the base of the cabinet.
Okay.
Yours are gone, and they have been replaced with this 260S. So this is your Peterson pre, which is the original preamp.
Right.
These guys here are what this is part of the tremolo circuit. So inside of each of these little metal houses, there's a light bulb. It's an optical tremolo. It's really cool.
Cool.
So when it's oscillating back and forth, if you have the amp open, you can see below. You can see the light from each one going back and forth.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool system.
they also added quarter-inch jacks to it in a really really slick way. Like the work that they did, like this is not original here,
Huh.
but they did really clean work integrating this PV. Your speakers are all original, by the way. They're the original
Really?
2 ohm Alnicos, these guys. An interesting point of note, your if you wanted this thing to be louder, because you have this PV in here, you could swap the speakers out.
Right.
Because this amp can handle a much lower load, a lower impedance load.
Yeah.
The original amps, you had to have 16, 16 minimum. But this guy can run at 4 ohms, so you could pop any kind of speakers in here.
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
Do you know what the speakers are rated at?
They are I think 50 watt speakers, and they're 32 ohm speakers.
Okay.
Which is strange, actually. That's one of the problems with them, is that they are special.
I guess they're not gonna really break up. Is that like the amp, like the speakers themselves are not gonna be overpowered enough to start like breaking up? Do you think, or?
With as it's configured now, it's a nice, very pleasant output. And yes, you're exactly right. If you were to put in like 8 ohm speakers and drop it to 4, which you could do with this thing in this state,
Yeah.
it would be louder, and you would head into this amp's area of distortion.
So the ohms, I don't know. The ohms have to do with how much it can handle cleanly.
Yes, it impacts. Yes, it does, and some people will intentionally put a higher load on, and which generally decreases your overall output.
Yeah.
But if you're getting better output, then that's you might want that.
Okay.
And if you look up here, there's your burly ass transformer.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've separated the power supply section. So they've separated everything to really completely minimize noise. It's probably better sitting in here than it would have been in its original case.
This is nuts.
Separated, all the AC is separated out.
Yeah.
And then you have the amp. But yeah, you can see it from down here. It's a B260S.
Yeah.
And it's a Haas. 120 watt. It's 120 watts versus the 80 watt system that was originally in it.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
It's a really slick installation. They did as good a job as I've ever seen with dropping in something else. But it is rare that you see something like this.
All the amps, everything is for electric guitar, right?
Yep.
And nobody understands my issue with, like, I never have enough clean headroom. I never have enough power. I never have enough clean headroom, and I can't find gear that does have that ever.
Well, you're set with this. If you play a show, if you were to drag your suitcase out to a gig, like if you had a great gig where you're playing pedal steel and keys,
Yeah.
then you can make your Rhodes amp your amp for both.
That's amazing. That's what I do. I set them up in like a L shape, and like that's kind of like how I've branded myself. So
yeah, dude, you can absolutely do that.
that is so cool. So now I'm really excited and inspired to play all the complicated analog hands-on instruments that are hard to find. I don't know. There's a million possibilities. Let me know in the comments, like, are you in a band that wants like a real B3 or like a real Fender Rhodes or a real Wurlitzer? Because I think real things are coming back in style. I think we're a little tired of the nonstop pummeling of information.